Flacco, 350 yards. Yo, trash. Steelers, trash. Garbage. Awful. Aaron Rodgers, noodle arm. Garbage. One scripted touchdown. Yeah. We won a last-minute game. Make the advertisers the do-re-mi because we paid lots of money. We're talking about Amazon for the rights to host Thursday Night Football. Yeah, we had a good feeling there. The Steelers were going to get the go-ahead touchdown very, very briefly. The touchback rule is garbage, man. These games are gay. It's like you get the ball at the 35-yard line, 10 yards, field goal. The ending of these games are so fucking gay, man. The new touchback spot, it's fucking gay. It's terrible rule. Nonsense rule change. Oh, you're about player safety, but now we don't have enough kickoffs. It's like you guys are a joke. The Steelers are shit. That defense is garbage. Jalen Ramsey is roasted meat. This guy getting destroyed out there. Overrated. Past it. Aaron Rodgers, past it. Mike Tomlin, overrated bum head coach. Mediocre. What are you without Bill Cowher's team? You may as well be Jeff Fisher. This is who Mike Tomlin is. He is mediocre. He's good night. You can see the end of this. You're basically Jeff Fisher, Mike Tomlin. You're mediocre without Bill Cowher's team. Mediocre, awful, garbage. This about Baltimore. How you know this about Baltimore? This was the game for the Steelers. You had to win. The Bungals? I told you you're a pretender. Look at your clown saying Pittsburgh Steelers go to the Super Bowl. Now that team is garbage. That is when they're healthy. The Ravens, they're getting guys back from injury. That's the difference. I told you there's no panic whatsoever in Baltimore because they already know they are winning the division. It's clear what Joe Flacco's going to do. It's very clear. The good story continues against the Jets. They may or may not beat the Bears. Only Roger Goodell knows if the Bengals are going to beat the Bears. But Joe Flacco is a part of the Ravens. He is a part of that team. Joe Flacco's going to do his part. It doesn't matter if the Bungals beat the Jets and or the Bears. It doesn't matter because Baltimore's going to beat the Bears. You see exactly why the Bears beat Washington. It's because they're supposed to lose against Baltimore. If they're supposed to lose Baltimore and keep the Bears in the playoffs, then you have them beat Washington on a rigged, scripted, dropped snap because they planned on the Bears to lose against the Ravens and not against Washington. So by committee, that is already a win. And Joe Flacco's gonna do his part. You just watch. The Steelers get the revenge game against Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco fucks up the Steelers season. He fucked it up. All he had to do was win 1 out of 2 against Pittsburgh. He does so. Ravens jump the Bungals. Flacco loses against the Steelers, but then, like I said, next week, it's clear Aaron Rodgers is losing against the Packers. Steelers will be 4-3. They're 4-2. The Steelers are going to be 4-3 after they lose against the Packers. And basically, they'll probably lose against the Patriots. They're going to try to kind of stay in the divisional hunt for the AFC East. The Patriots are Fusco Fugazi. They're not a Super Bowl team, but they're a playoff team. They're a wild card team. Then obviously Flacco's going to lose against Baltimore on Thanksgiving, and then he's going to lose against the Bills, and Flacco loses again against the Ravens 17 days after Thanksgiving. And so basically it's the end of their season. They will be playing behind the 8-ball. Scripts for the Bengals to lose, not right now, not late October, but rather late November is when you'll start seeing this team lose games. And it's going to start against Pittsburgh on November 16th. You see that? The Ravens, 2.5 back, played the Steelers twice. Ravens won the division. They got the crappy Jets. Let's see who else we got. Ravens. Uncommon opponents. Your different opponents. Both play the Dolphins. Patriots will be good. This is a Lamar Jackson game in which they'll be in playoff position. The Vikings are nobodies. They got Carson Wentz. Obviously, Ravens going to win that one. And then, the fun really begins here for Pittsburgh. They are a pretender. Who wants to see the washed-up Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs? We know he was. That 68-yard touchdown, I didn't see it, but I bet you that was scripted. They're going to lose against the Packers. They're going to lose against the Colts. They might beat the Colts. The Colts are a pretending team. Colts are a pretending team. How are they a pretending team? Well, they lost against the Lambs. They only beat the Cardinals. They beat the Raiders. They beat the Titans. They're a pretender. They only beat the Dolphins. They're a pretender. What is it? A field goal block infraction penalty. Yeah, Colts are a pretending team. So maybe the Steelers beat the Colts, but they're not beating the Chargers. You're not beating the Bills. You're not beating the Lions. You're not beating the Ravens. You're not beating those teams. You're not winning the division. Y'all lost. Lamar Jackson, one of the top quarterbacks in football, one of the most electrifying elite quarterbacks in football, 10 touchdowns, 1 interception. Lamar Jackson cements his legend. He writes his story. Lamar Jackson in the playoffs. Lamar Jackson in the last week of the season makes it to the playoffs. Lamar Jackson from 1-5 to the Super Bowl. Lamar Jackson, ladies and gents, Lamar Jackson. The last Heisman quarterback to win Super Bowl MVP was in Super Bowl 15 because Jim Plunkett, he didn't win Super Bowl MVP in Super Bowl 18. That was the running back. That was Marcus Allen. The last time a Heisman won MVP in the Super Bowl 15. Ravens 1-5 to winning the Super Bowl is what the Ravens do. The Ravens have won the bye week. They're getting healthy in the bye week. They didn't have to play Lamar. They didn't need to. And the Steelers lost. The Ravens have already won the bye week. And the Steelers are going to lose to every single one of these teams. They are perhaps the biggest pretending team in the first half of the season. They're a more pretending team than Jacksonville because they have a defense. The Steelers don't have a defense. You don't get style points on defense beating trash like the Cleveland Clowns and Justin Fields. That's just not going to happen. Flacco has got actual playmakers on the Bungles. He doesn't have a Jamar Chase on the Cleveland Clowns. He doesn't have Higgins on the Clowns. He's got more weapons. That's why he's able to perform. Just watch what Lamar Jackson's going to do. He's already cooking. At this point, the division may already be won by week 15, week 16. If the Steelers are really this garbage, they're going to lose this division before week 18. And at this point, you go from 1-5 to making the playoffs, nobody want to play you. If you have Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, you go from 1-5 to winning the division in the playoffs, nobody want to play you. Everyone is shitting their pants. The one team they're scared of in the playoffs is the Ravens. That's the one team they don't want in the playoffs. You much rather see Jacksonville in there. You much rather see Indianapolis in there. You might prefer the Chargers than Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry in the playoff. Ravens defense not this bad. The Ravens have Pro Bowl talent on defense. They not this bad. We know they gonna step it up. Got closer to that with a good performance against the LA Rams. There is no offense, but defense came the ball against Matthew Stafford. That is an elite defense that was shutting down Josh Allen for 3 and a third quarter or 3.5 quarters. I forgot exactly when the comeback happened. 10 minutes, 8 minutes, whatever. It may have been 8 minutes. This Ravens team is coming back, and they won in the Super Bowl. This is what Lamar Jackson's going to do. It just started tonight. What you saw here is the script in full fruition. They didn't have to have the Steelers lose tonight. They didn't have to have them win. But they did lose. Because we need Lamar Jackson in the playoffs. Lamar Jackson rides his legend in the playoffs. He is by far the best quarterback in football. His 9.1 yards per attempt. City of San Francisco, 91. Hamstring injury, 91. Return against Chicago Bears, 91. Allen, 91. AFC Championship game, 91 days after Lamar Jackson's return. Part 1, Part 2 at Buffalo. Part 3, Part 1, 2020. Part 2, it was the playoff game. Again, Part 3 is week 1. Part 4 is the inevitable rematch at Buffalo, New York. I did not see the Hail Mary. I recorded the game, but obviously I'm going to watch the whole game later because it was a very entertaining show. A very entertaining show. They not going to beat the Packers. We'll see. Brett Favre, Vikings, they beat the Packers, yeah. They certainly not losing a primetime game at LA in November. They need to build that fan base. They already lost that game at the Chargers. The Bills are going to beat the Steelers. A game with Pittsburgh 50, San Francisco 50, that's a Josh Allen victory November 30th. Lamar Jackson at home against the trash Steelers, they're going to win that game. Detroit Lions, they're going to finish the collapse for the Steelers right before Christmas. Here you go. There's coal for you guys. There's coal for you guys. Who you much rather see in the playoffs? The Steelers? Aaron Rodgers is past it. No, elite box office talent. Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry. These men. Marlon Humphrey, Roquan Smith, Kyle Hamilton. These guys exist. This ain't a team of squad. This is a team that was in control at Kansas City and at Buffalo on the road. That ain't no scrub team. You can take control on the road at Arrowhead before a scripted interception. Lamar Jackson, he can't beat Josh Allen. He cannot beat Patrick Mahomes. That's what they're going to say about this brother. He can't beat the Detroit Lions. Ravens can't beat the best. That's what they're going to write about when they're writing about the Baltimore Ravens. They can't beat the best of the best. Lamar Jackson, he can't this year. And he won't in the playoffs is the narrative. Then Baltimore. What does we Baltimore mean? It means you go on the road and you win the AFC Championship game at Oakland. You beat the Raiders. They came on the road at the Bay Area. They get it their first Super Bowl ticket, and they go into the Super Bowl at the Bay Area, and they came to New England and won the AFC Championship game to Mile High with the Mile High miracle. They did it. Part of being a Baltimore Raven is winning playoff games on the road. This team is not supposed to win having home field advantage, as was the case 2 years ago. This team has a knack of making it to the Super Bowl as a team, an underdog elite team that has to beat the elite teams on the road. That has been a part of the entire modern history of the Ravens since they moved from Cleveland to Baltimore. That's just part of their history. They have to go on the road. And that story is going to continue. It has been written. I think they can run the table and be 7-5. 5 straight wins after starting 1-5. Lamar Jackson, 5 playoff losses. Host 49ers, 5 Super Bowls. We are honoring Joe Flacco, number 5. Lamar Jackson stays at 5 playoff losses. They make the playoffs after 5 losses, 1-5. They get the job done. Lamar Jackson, born on the 7th day of the year. Lamar Jackson, the 7th game of the season. The run begins. The 7th playoff win of his career to finish off the run to the Super Bowl. One and only Lamar Demetrius Jackson Jr. He's a running back, and he can't throw, and he can't perform in the playoffs, and he can't beat Patrick Mahomes. He can't beat Kyle Allen. The Ravens are going to beat the Chiefs in the playoffs. They're going to beat the Bills in the playoffs. The third team is a mystery. The third team, the jury's out. It could be anybody. Who knows if Ravens play the Broncos again in the playoffs? What if the Denver Broncos are in the playoffs again? They beat the Broncos at Mile High. Peyton Manning. Lamar Jackson revenge against the Chargers. First playoff game against the Chargers. Phil Rivers. Different quarterback. Different environment. Revenge narrative against the Chargers. Different ideas for Lamar Jackson. I'm just here to laugh at the Pittsburgh Steelers people mouthing off. Pittsburgh Steelers are going to be in the Super Bowl. This was for you. This was for you tonight. This was for you tonight. The Cincinnati Bungals. Aaron Rodgers over 200 passing yards. Bam! That touchdown there. Boom! All you had to get was over 200. That was a pretty conservative, pragmatic bet. Over 200 yards, 68 yards later, bam. Hell yeah. Live bet on the Bengals plus 10. Got the Bengals early on in the first quarter. They down 10-0. We keep it a close game on Thursday. Just live bet the Bengals plus 10. Bam. Oh, yeah, of course it was a scripted game. Of course we know it's a scripted game. It's funny, though, how people thought the Steelers are going to make it to the Super Bowl. Look at that team tonight. They're no different than the Dallas Cowboys. What can go wrong will go wrong. 6 straight playoff losses. The epitome of mediocrity. Let's finish 8-8 and make the playoffs. That's good enough. You're coming back for another year, Mike. You're coming back for another year. He just like Jason Garrett. You think that clown is going to win a Super Bowl, Mike Tomlin, over John Harbaugh? He at least had to rebuild this team after Ray Lewis and Ed Reed and Terrell Suggs retired. Or left the team. T-Sizzle left after Joe Flacco had to move on. He rebuilt that team to an elite level. Steelers are not elite level. They're mediocre, middle of the pack level. They're completely lost because they're begging a 41-year-old washed-up quarterback to save them. But they a joke. They are a joke. They are just awful. They're terrible. Ravens will beat him again. This the Steelers season, as we know, ended today. We already know what is going to happen to them. They're just like the Raiders. They're just like the Browns. They're just like the Cowboys. Oh, what do we care? Because they're still going to buy our jerseys. They're going to still travel and buy tickets to our games. There's no incentive to win. It's just like the New York Yankees. There's no incentive to win because there's no boycott. They're going to be supported regardless. There's no incentive to win. The do re mi is good if you're Jerry Jones, if you're the Cleveland Clowns owner, if you're Rooney. Is it Dan Rooney today? Sorry, that team cooked. A lot of people are going with the Colts to beat the Chargers. The conspiracy theorists are here to say that they want the Colts to win, so the Chiefs will kind of be a game. They're within a game of first place for the division. I mean, they'll be tied for the division if they beat the Raiders and the Chargers lose. But I just can't see two straight home losses for the Chargers. Two straight home losses against the Chargers. And we breaking down the Colts' body of work. They only beat the Raiders. They only beat the Titans. They only beat the Cardinals. It's like they're good. They're a talented team, but they're not Super Bowl contenders at all. At home, the Chargers should be able to find a way to get the Danny Dimes and force some turnovers. The Dallas Cowboys did a joke. Washington, after a loss, this was the worst thing that happened to Dallas. Now Washington is laser extra focused because the Eagles might win the division. They lose a head-to-head tiebreaker with the Chicago Bears. The Washington's going to be laser focused. This was the worst thing that happened to the Cowboys by having Washington lose. If they beat the Bears, they could afford to lose. But this is going to end up fucking over the Dallas Cowboys some way, somehow. The Bears have a better defense than the Dallas Cowboys. Cowboys are awful. You lost against the Bears. You're going to lose against another team, the wild card hunt. The Cowboys are out of the playoffs. It'll be a very, very mid Monday Night Football game in a couple of weeks. The Cardinals are out of the playoffs. They're moving from Kyler. The Dallas Cowboys are a joke. They out of the playoffs. Which team's a bigger joke on Monday Night Football? Do the Cowboys stay mediocre and they stay in the playoff field by beating the Cardinals on Monday Night Football? Or we all get to laugh at the Dallas Cowboys with another loss against the Arizona Cardinals? And the other elite game was the Jaguars and the Rams. That game could go either way. Now, if the Jaguars lose that game, then the Colts can afford to lose, and the NFL would be biased towards a Chargers win. Definitely, if the Jaguars, if the Jaguars lose, they got to keep the division tied. If Jaguars win, they lost last week. So that game's really 50-50. I don't think I'm going to bet on the Jaguars-Rams game but I think the numbers are pointing towards a Rams win, I think, with the Jaguars beating the Raiders. That's just me. I have my 3.5 points, whatever. I think the Seahawks should be able to beat the Houston Texans, I think. Seahawks got to jump the 49ers. 49ers going to be out of the playoffs. They got an easy schedule, but they may even lose against Houston. And now it looks like Fred Warner is out for the year. The home Super Bowl so-called curse, and then suddenly injuries start piling up. This is how the NFL's win. They don't like these home teams make it to the playoffs. These injuries on the Niners are fake. They're fake injuries. I've seen fake injuries with my team in 2014. 9-1. Oh, you're hosting the Super Bowl. You're a Super Bowl contender. Everyone starts getting hurt. Same thing happening with San Francisco. What was the other bill? The Bucks and the Lions. You know what? Either way, I think the Lions win. That game ends by 3 points. It's going to come down to a 2-minute warning. Are the Lions really going to cover the spread? We'll find out. We'll find out. All the numbers pointing towards the Panthers to win. Two shit teams like the Dolphins and the Browns. You shouldn't bet on a game like that. What if the Dolphins, the cold weather, the number one defense, Tua's call. Generally, when a player calls out the team, they win the next week. Just like when Cam Ward called out the Titans, they beat the Cardinals, and now Tua called out his teammates. So I wonder if this is going to light a fire on the Dolphins. It'd be better for the headliners in the talk shows if the Browns lose. So is it time to play Shedeur Sanders? So yeah, I go Miami. Those are as far as value goes, without worrying about point spreads. Those are the games there. Is Carson Wentz really going to beat the Eagles? The Vikings are not going to be in the playoff hunt this year. Looks like Carolina's in the playoff hunt. Vikings are going to be out of it. So the wild card, Bears, second place in the NFC North, Washington, Carolina, Atlanta, Vikings not going to be in there. They're going to be a team that's going to be out of the playoff picture. That's all I got for the NFL. We'll see where the scripts are coming. AOC, the NLCS is over. Otani's on the mound. It's over. Whoever wins tomorrow, the series is over on Friday. The ALCS is ending in 6 games. If the Mariners win, they win Game 6. If the Blue Jays win, they win in Game 6. But I'm riding the big dumper all the way to the World Series in the American League. Seattle gotta get a home win. A home win. Come on. They could not have this series. They wanted to cover the TV spot on Friday. Suddenly Seattle shows up the next day. Because we need to have a game on Friday. And this Dodger series gonna end on Thursday. We need a game on Friday. So basically that's what happened with the 2 games at Seattle. So I still like Mariners to win. You can't go wrong either way with either team, but Seattle is going to kind of be the underdog here with their backs against the wall here with Toronto with 2 blowout wins. The best contact lineup in baseball. We'll see what happens tomorrow. But the winner of tomorrow is going to win on Friday.